At this point, we're deep into Phase 4 of the MCU, and fans are hyped for the franchise's future. That said, it's still unclear how Phase 5 will shake out. We know Kang's the big bad, but there are tons of theories about the Scarlet Witch's role in the multiverse saga. Wanda's been AWOL for a while now, but she might be returning to Marvel's Agatha series. Here's what you need to know. Firstly, fans have been wondering about how she fits into the MCU's latest era. Kevin Feige and his team over at Marvel Studios have been pushing towards a new cinematic saga for the past few years, and when you're trying to make a new storyline land, you need to put your characters through the ringer. That's the only way you can keep viewers coming back for more, and Wanda Maximoff's arc has been one of the best parts of Phase 4. She's become a bit of a tragic figure through her journey in the MCU, and was basically the villain of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Her transformation has been in the works for ages, and fans know firsthand she's been through a lot. She lost her parents, her brother, her homeland, the love of her life, and her imaginary kids. We don't know about you, but we definitely don't blame her for turning over to the dark side, and a lot of viewers actually want Elizabeth Olsen to reprise her role as soon as possible. Why? Well, they got a feeling that her story isn't over yet, and we agree with them. If there's one thing Marvel has mastered over the years, it's playing off character endings in a satisfying way. They did it for Iron Man and Captain America, and they definitely have something in store for Wanda. The last time we saw her, she was going down to Mount Wundagore in order to destroy the Darkhold. That would be a really inconclusive way to end her arc, so it's basically guaranteed that she'll be back in the MCU soon. What's more, she's reached her lowest point, so there's only one way to go from there. That's right, fans think Wanda's going through a redemption arc somewhere down the line. It would make perfect sense for where her character is at, and we've got a feeling that's where things are headed. The studio might make her a lead in her very own blockbuster, or give us another season of WandaVision. We still don't know what's in store for Phase 6, so basically anything's possible. Before we get to that point though, there's a pretty good chance that the character will return in a certain Disney Plus show. Yes, we're talking about Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Marvel's been teasing the show ever since fans fell in love with Kathryn Hahn in WandaVision. The actress will reprise her role as the titular witch for the series, which is slated to come out in winter 2023. You probably remember it being called House of Harkness when it was originally announced, but the studio has given it a title change for this year. And that's pretty notable since the word Coven implies that there's going to be more than one magic user on the show. That's one of the hints fans have picked up on, but it's definitely not the only reason they're expecting Wanda to be a part of the first season. Of course, it's obviously the perfect place to bring Maximoff back to the MCU. Agatha Harkness was the villain in WandaVision, and she's tied pretty closely to the Scarlet Witch. Pushing their rivalry further only makes sense considering how Marvel introduced the character. And the miniseries definitely hinted at a reunion for the two archenemies. You probably remember how Scarlet Witch trapped Harkness in Westview, but what you might not recall was their final exchange. Agatha specifically said that Wanda would need her at some point in the future, and that kickstarted a ton of fan theories. She was obviously talking about how the Scarlet Witch has access to her full power set now, and we saw how it corrupted her in Multiverse of Madness. The movie also didn't clarify whether she's dead or not, which is basically proof that she's alive. When it comes to the comic book universe, if you don't see someone die on screen, it's safe to say you're going to see them later, and that means Wanda might need some help. She doesn't know how to keep her magic in check yet, which means she's going to need someone to teach her. And seeing as Agatha knows the extent of her powers, she might need to ask the Salem Witch a thing or two about chaos magic. Remember, the show is now called Coven of Chaos, and that could be another clue for what it's about. Harkness uses dark magic, so that part of the title probably isn't referring to her. And who's the only chaos magic user in the MCU? You guessed it, Wanda Maximoff herself. We know. That's some really solid evidence tying the Scarlet Witch to the upcoming show, and it's got us thinking about how Agatha, Coven of Chaos, will bring the two characters together. During WandaVision, Harkness was trying to use Wanda's powers for her own gain, and she might try to do that again with the new series. Sure, she might involve tricking Wanda into helping her, but we're thinking redemption might be on the cards for everyone this time around. Maybe both witches are going to become heroes once all's said and done. That would definitely be really satisfying, and it would honestly put Wanda back where we all want to see her. She's been a fan favorite character for years at this point, which is probably why Marvel's been giving her such a spotlight lately. We've already established how Multiverse of Madness ended her villain arc, which sets her up perfectly for a comeback. No one in the MCU knows that she's still alive, so we're looking forward to seeing her reunite with all the good guys. They'll definitely need her if they want to beat Kang the Conqueror in the next Avengers movies. Olsen has said that she'd love to work with Hahn again, so we think an appearance in Coven of Chaos is basically guaranteed. Before we get to that point though, we'll be able to see the Scarlet Witch in animated form. She's going to be in Season 2 of What If, and has also been confirmed for Season 1 of Marvel Zombies. That's going to be the first R-rated piece of content that the studio's ever put out, so we're excited to see how gnarly things get. Rest assured, Wanda Maximoff is an integral part of the MCU now. She's not going anywhere anytime soon, and honestly, we're glad. With that theory covered, here's some other news about Marvel's plans. First up, She-Hulk's head writer apparently tried to write a Black Widow story. The first episode of She-Hulk, Attorney at Law, just came out, and fans love the comedic direction the series is taking. Lead writer Jessica Gao is being praised left, right, and center, but the story of how she got this job is pretty surprising. In a recent interview, the screenwriter announced that she got her gig after a failed Black Widow movie pitch. Her script would have gone over Natasha's past as a teenage assassin and followed her as she visited the people she hurt in the past. Get this, Gao's pitch for Black Widow also included She-Hulk, since she loved the character from the moment she read about her in the comics. It sounds like She-Hulk was pretty prominent in the story because Marvel said that her pitch felt like a She-Hulk movie with Black Widow in it. She's probably really glad things worked out the way they did. Secondly, Dwayne Johnson's been talking about an insane crossover idea. Now, we've had our fair share of massive event movies like Infinity War and Multiverse of Madness. Johnson just blew those out of the water with his remarks about a potential DC and Marvel crossover movie. While speaking with Total Film, The Rock said that he's very optimistic about something like that happening. He thinks the idea of two universes crossing over appeals to him from a creative point of view and that it's about time DC and Marvel came together for a project. Senior figures like Kevin Feige have hinted at something like that being possible for the future, so a movie like that could definitely be on the cards. And we're not going to lie, it'd be absolutely mind-blowing to see Thor face off against Superman on the big screen. Let's hope it happens. And finally, Jamila Jamil has commented on her MCU future. Even though we barely saw her character in the first episode of She-Hulk, Titania is definitely going to be a bigger part of the series moving forward. And in a recent interview, the actress talked about where she'd like to see her character go next. She says that she'd love to see her character meet up with Deadpool, and that's because she's a big fan of both the character and Ryan Reynolds. She says her character would also be a good fit for the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. Seeing Titania in the villain team-up film is way more likely than her meeting Deadpool for now. It also depends on how well she's received by the fan base after She-Hulk. It's safe to say that if fans want to see more of her, Marvel Studios will pretty much have to oblige. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think we'll see Wanda and Agatha Coven of Chaos? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.